Hail to the king, baby.
Howdy, friends. It's me. It's Michael B. Thank you so much for checking out tonight's show. And for tonight's show, well, what do you want to talk about? We just had a very eventful CES with a lot of new releases coming out from companies we know and love, and from some companies that came literally out of nowhere. Iconic Arcade, I'm looking at you. So tonight, we're going to take a look back at last week's announcements and kind of grade them on how we felt about them and see who really won CES 2025. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. And I can't find my opening, so we're just going to go without it. I didn't upload it, apparently. I'm using StreamYard. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Another fun Monday night. Hopefully fun. Hopefully I don't flip out and start swearing at people like I did on Super Game Room Dudes this past week. Man, I was really passionate about the art on the Street Fighter 2 cab. Obviously, you guys have been watching me for a number of years. You know how I feel. I want these to be arcade recreations, and sometimes they don't do that for reasons. And, anyways, we won't give you a terrible 45-minute diatribe about the art tonight. No flipping out. Vasil, we are used to you not being prepared to talk to us. Yeah, it's kind of a thing I got going for me. So another thing that's kind of funny, guys. Bill, good to see you, my man. Another thing that's kind of funny to talk about. So you guys know I've got this eWin chair. I've had it for a couple of years now. Well, I'm a big guy, and this is the eWin Flash XL, which is supposed to be made for big guys. Unfortunately, the casters have started to go, or the compression tube, whatever it is. So when I was on Super Game Room Dudes, I went from being, up here and tall and talking on the screen to the chair constantly sinking me down all night, was driving me nuts. So there you go. Glenn, F you, Glenn. F you. All right, guys. So I want to say hello to a couple people here in the chat. We'll get started here. Dr. Z with the earliest comment earlier today. I love this. We all won as consumers. It's nice to have options, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. That's an amazing comment. Decadent Dave says, frankly, nobody won CES. Nothing really wowed him enough to have any of them. His wallet is safe for now. That's fine. Not everything's for everybody. You've got stuff that already does some of the stuff that people are putting out. There's no harm in that. Gamer Fridge gave a great breakdown on his choices for the four companies, what they did and stuff like that. Four Horsemen's here. Nice to see you, my man. Dan Z, happy birthday, Dan Z. Dan in St. Louis, always good to see you, my man. My moderator, Jason Little Alien, best moderator in the business. He can be on 6 streams at once somehow and still catch everything. I know Paul Mindeman was excited. Me and Paul have been blowing the horn for a long time now for more XL cabs. So it's nice to see an option out there, even if Arcade1Up are not going to deliver it, someone else is. So thank you very much, Dan. Paul, it's been a hell of a ride, man, and looks like we're here. Tim York, Dr. Torque, happy early birthday, Dan Z. MSU Rich is here. Ted Adam Green, Chris C. We got Glenn Planamento, maker of the GRS Build-A-Cade. F you, Glenn. Goofy Foot's here. Port a Dream. B Kirby was nice enough when I was going on my insane rant about the art. He said he'd send me out replacement art. Do not do that, man. I appreciate the offer though, all the same. Gramps Arcade's here. J-Rod. Do we got everybody? JR is here. Good to see you. Tom Ball. Jeremy Kayea. Nobody wants to admit it, but Arcade1Up blew out nearly 400 Fast and Furious cabs in 10 days. Made a video about it yesterday, brother. Realism's here. Realism just went, I think you went out playing some pinball with, oh my God, it's not coming up now. Gregory Farlow and Brooklyn Menace there a little while ago. Good to see you. Bill's Retro Gaming Show is here. Who else we got? Stock Jock, always good to see you, my man. Let's chill and chat with the king of Monday nights. I don't know, P-Dubs might disagree with that. Stock Jock just recently picked up a Fast and the Furious cab himself. He told me, very good to see that. Sorry I'm late. I got caught up in the mid-roll advert for about 4 minutes. Yeah, that'll happen to you, MG. Thank you very much. Midlife Arcade, Nova Sonic, good to see you. Who else? Am I missing anybody? I think I've caught up on everybody. John McGovern, good to see you, my man. David N., good evening. Is there a relaxed, chilly Monday here in Northwest Indiana? I saw a video on Facebook there earlier today in, I don't know where in Indiana, but apparently some woman got confused and drove up like the river. She thought it was a street. The stream had frozen over, so she drove up the street in Indiana. I thought that was the craziest thing ever. Who else we got? Pitbull, my man. Glenn's cab going to be best built by far, not fold up $800 plywood shit. Tell us how you really feel, Pitbull. Tell us how you really feel. Hello from Nova Scotia. Canadian home arcade struggle is real. Tell me about it, man. We just got those Fast and Furious restock, and I was like, maybe finally we'll get them here in Canada without having to pay Wayfair like $1,600, but it doesn't look like that's the case. JJ says my audio is a little bit low. Make sure I have my right mic on is a good idea. Hold on. That's a good idea. No, the right mic's on. I'm not sure why my audio would be low. I'm very sorry about that, JJ. Is everybody else having the same problem? I'll try to put this up a little bit higher, closer to my face. You guys tell me if you can hear me okay. Biggie D's Arcades here. Good to see you, Biggie D. MG is here. Second best mod. Hold on. I got to do something for MG. I promised him this last night. Boom. There it is. MG, congratulations. You have been wrenched, my man. Derek Empire's here. Nice to see you. Who else we got? Way too fast for you. David H. Nooner's here. Good to see you, my man. James Hates Everything is here. Apparently, James made some new art for the Street Fighter 2 cab. I was told I would not like it. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, so let's see. All right, who else we got? Audio seems fine to me. Thank you very much, Paul. I felt bad about that. Sounds good here. Okay. Press the wrong button. Hey, thanks, guys. Mike, can you tell me what you think of Media 1-Up Street Fighter artwork? Thanks, Pot Stirred. Thank you very much for the super chat. P-Dubs Arcade Loft. No. We will talk about it a little bit because I got a message from somebody which I kind of took to heart a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's an unfair sentiment he made. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. J2, good to see you, my man. Darren Kane, the best Arcade1Up employee, not there anymore. Feel the power. MG is so excited. Gamer Fridge, waiting on MG's report. Oh my God. I was in a Discord chat last night. So last night I played Gran Turismo 7 for the first time with the PSVR, and it's ruined me from racing games from now on. What an experience. After I finished, I didn't eat supper, so I had some leftover pizza. I was going to eat that and turn on some YouTube. I was going to watch My Life in Gaming because they did a live stream on the re-release of Ease 3, The Oath in Felgana. And anyways, I noticed there was a Discord chat going. I got on there, and MG asked me literally every single question you could ever ask about Newfoundland. I think he knows everything about the province now, probably more than I even know. But it says I don't know, JJ. I can't help you, man. No way. Hey, Connell01, good to see you. Chris C. Mike, did you see James? No, I didn't see his video. I'm sorry. Let's see. Go Rams. I think we're caught up. No, I didn't see his mock-ups yet. I'm going to go check it out. And Zero Cool, thank you for becoming a member. Let's rock and roll. All right, guys. So, yeah, what a week it was. We had lots of announcements. Lots of cool shit came to us. And I just want to say this first off. How great is it that we go through these events now? And in the past, we really only had 3 companies we were really paying attention to. Of course, there were other companies on the outside, but when it came to CES, really the only company that did anything at CES in terms of a home arcade was Arcade1Up. They were the big standard bearer. Now I know Namco Bandai went, and I know MyArcade went there in the past, but it wasn't like they were doing anything that was super high quality. It seems like MyArcade trying to turn a corner on that with some of the new stuff they came out with. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Brooklyn, nice to see you, man. Big B73. No, I'm not mad at you anymore, Big B73. It just caught me at the wrong time. I'm sorry. Yeah, very much like Max Headroom. I don't know if you guys know this. Like, P-Dubs knows this. I like to stir the pot and give people shit. So if someone's upset at something, I lean into it very subtly, like with my name and stuff like that. So people are upset that I got a VR headset and me and other people are playing VR now. So I just like to poke the bear a little bit just to fuck with them. Can't help myself. Did Michael B get a free VR? No, I did not. I bought mine. I will show receipts if necessary. Mickey VR, where was the unicorn coverage from CES? They were expected to be there. Who's the unicorn? You're gonna have to give me a little more information. I don't know. I'm going through something, that's for fucking sure. VR is so much fun. Lately, I got the PSVR, so I haven't been playing as much MetaQuest as I normally do. I'm stuck in a boss fight in Batman Arkham Shadow right now where it's kind of taking its toll on me. I'm playing on normal difficulty. Got a new rule, never play on easy difficulty anymore because it ruins the game's experience. So I'm in Batman Arkham Shadow, and I'm at like the first real boss fight where I got to take on Carmine Falcone. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't got there yet. And like, he's got this Gatling gun and it just keeps fucking with me, man. Like, I can't get past it. It's killing me. And then on top of that, I just got the PSVR. So I've been slowly getting into that. I've been playing Horizon Call of the Mountain, and a couple people's complaints about like, it's weird to take the arrows out and stuff like that. Crazy. Like, the performance on the PSVR 2 is nuts. Like, the MetaQuest is freaking awesome. But there's something to be said about hooking a headset up to a very powerful PC or a very powerful system and being able to see those displays. They have those really high-res OLED displays. The sound is a little lacking, but other than that, like, incredible system. So I've been playing Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I've also been playing Gran Turismo 7 in VR last night. So there you go. I did play games on easy. I did for a while, but I got super irritated with it. Like, I just felt like I was going through the motions. Anyways, guys, moving on. Let's talk more about home arcade. So probably first company I want to talk about is one that's not really synonymous with home arcade, but it's yes, tit for tat. I am easy, Glenn. You know that. Anyways, first company I want to talk about tonight. Oh, I tried to get my OBS on. That's not going to work because I'm using StreamYard. So first company I want to talk about tonight is MyArcade. Now, up to this point, MyArcade really hadn't fallen on my radar. I wasn't a super big fan of what they did. Sure, the games were cheap, easy to get into and stuff like that, but I don't know, it just didn't kick my itch. Like, it seemed cheap. It didn't seem like high quality. And there were reports that they were using console ROMs for a lot of these. They have switched to arcade ROMs for a lot. So nothing really stood out or intrigued me until this. The pole position handheld driving arcade. This was something I was interested in. And I heard so many people say it's actually really high quality. So I did go out with my own money and pick one up, and it surprised me. It's actually a really good product. I mean, for the price point, let's be clear here, for $50 US, still think it's priced a little bit high. It's still cheap plastic. You know, the buttons aren't exactly the best quality in the entire world, but it just works. The driving wheel, it seems stupid, like it wouldn't be fun to play on, but it is fun to play on. The gas and brake buttons, they work fine. The game looks good on the screen. The sound is good. There's not really a lot negative to say about pole position other than the form factor, body, and it feels really cheap when you're putting 4 AA batteries in it to play it. So, yeah. Anyways, MyArcade, they did a bunch of stuff at CES, a lot of new products, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion in the chat. Like, I saw them moving into the countercade realm with these new mega players. Of course, they've also got new form factors for the Game Station Go. They're really throwing everything at the wall to try to get products out there that home arcade enthusiasts would enjoy. Now, me personally, I was really excited for the Mighty Player and the Mega Player because I like the sleek black look on the front. I like the idea of having bigger wood-made arcade cabinets, but I do have some problems with them. I don't know if you guys got good looks at everything. Let me just see if I can get this up here now. That's what she said. But looking at the actual mega players, I don't know if they're super good in their actual output. First off, I want to show you the Mighty Player, which I'm sure you guys have seen before. I did a video about this, and I was like, this might be a really good product. Well, I might be wrong on this. So let me just bring this up and just share some of my issues with it. One is it's got that typical MyArcade shape with the really slim marquee that doesn't really make any sense. It's also got these giant wings up here that give flashbacks to the Arcade1Up generation for X-Men and Simpsons, where we had all these winged arcades. But also, if you take a look at the screen, this is probably the biggest problem I have. Just like Arcade1Up did with their countercades this past generation, for some reason they put a 16:9 screen in this thing and then have this atrocious bezel. One thing I will say is this picture doesn't really do it justice because this looks like yellow here. This is actually gold and looks a lot nicer in person. Now, for someone that's always like, I gotta have the original side art, I do kind of like the graffiti style on the side. I know, what a fucking hypocrite, right? But I do like the graffiti style on the side. I just think with this 16:9 screen, the way it's done and stuff like that, they fucked it up. I'm sorry, I'm swearing a lot tonight, but yeah, like, I mean, they had an opportunity to do something that I think is a lot more interesting that converges over to home arcade. It's just, I think they missed the mark. I would love to get a chance to sit down with MyArcade, or somebody sit down with MyArcade and just give them a few pointers about things to do, a little bit of advice, like don't do the 16:9 screen, don't do the obnoxious white bezel, change your arcade shape, make your marquee a little bit wider. That kind of stuff would be awesome, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Anyways, there's a couple other things I wanted to show you. One that I don't know how I feel about this, but they're coming out with this $150 pinball machine, the Balls of Steel mini pin. And I got to give them credit for trying. Like, it's really weird. I don't know what this bit pixel thing up here is, if it's just a logo. They've got a static back glass, from what I understand. I don't think that is a screen. Then if you look at it, the gameplay is on this screen, but up top, that's where you'll actually see your DMD and your scoreboard. So it is a little bit easier to see than a back glass DMD, but not as authentic. Anyways, for somebody who only wants to spend $150, maybe this is a cool option for pinball. However, the games, from what I hear, aren't very good. This is not from one of the big 3 developers that ActGames have already secured. This is coming from an outside company. P-Dubs did a review on it. He said these were poopy. They were no good. So that was the MyArcade Balls of Steel. That was interesting. But let's move over to this Capcom Bandai Namco. This is the Mega Player, and this is the one that caught my eye and said, okay, with this Capcom Bandai Namco partnership might not be terrible. But if you take a look at this thing, tell me if you notice a big problem with it. And the Atari Mega Player actually has the exact same problem. I think we all know where I'm going to go with this. Take a look at the screen and what you notice about it. Just like with the Mighty Player Pac-Man, instead of using a 4x3 screen, they went 16:9. And there's a very easy reason for doing this. It's because it's cheap. It's cheaper to get a 16:9 screen than it is a 4x3 screen. So they cheaped out. They come up with this new product that's wood, actually has a good look, gets rid of the wings, might be a countercade competitor, might be moving in that market. And then they do something so stupid as put a 16:9 screen on there. So, any interest I have in this product, which is apparently $300 US, gets completely blown out by the fact they use the wrong screen. So, I mean, is this a competitor for Arcade1Up's countercades? They kind of suck now, too, with the 16:9 screens, and they're only releasing Pac-Man in them anyways. But, you put the Evercade Alpha up against this, and it's no comparison. Evercade Alpha absolutely blows this out of the water in terms of build quality, look, and actually having a 4x3 screen. So it's the best looking, and it's still shite. I don't disagree with you. I think I would have been I hate the side art. These amalgamations, especially when it's just generic shit like this. I'll give Kamla a lot of credit. He did the art for the At Games Legends Pinball, the original Pinball HD. And a lot of people don't like that, but I loved the fact that they were bringing in some arcade history into it, with the fact they were taking the back glasses from the classic Gottlieb tables and then, doing a collage of back glasses on the machine. I thought that was a nice touch. But this is just a friggin' mess, man. Look at this. The Capcom side's bad, but the Bandai Namco side is even worse. That looks awful. And you're probably saying pole position. How are you going to play pole position? That's what the spinner's for. The wheel that they use is just basically a spinner anyway. So you're going to be able to play pole position with the spinner. I can't believe they used a 16:9 screen. It just completely defeats the purpose. Then they've got a handheld, which this might be something that's more up people's alley. If you want to play these games, I don't know what the price point on this will be, but it's the same as the Atari Game Station Go. So they're going to have a Bandai Namco Capcom Go. It's kind of interesting, I guess. I do like the blue and the pink, as you can see from all my stuff that I put out there. I'm a big fan of the blue to pink transition, so that's that. And they've also got a console coming out, which I have no idea about at all. These controllers don't look very good. From talking to James Hates Everything, apparently they're really cheap and kind of shitty. So yeah, I don't know what their mindset is here on this. Maybe it'll sell. Maybe it's just not for our niche or our category, but man, yeah. Paul, excuse me, almost killed me. Is there any room left in the landfill where they dumped all the ET cards? I gotta say, some stuff they did was a little bit disappointing. I did get a better look at some of the Sega stuff they were doing. Now, that is something that interested me. So just give me a minute. I'm going to pull this off screen. I'm going to get the Sega stuff up because someone actually put up some really good pictures of the Sega stuff. At least some of the Sega stuff. So I'll see if I can find that to show it off. But for me, I think the number one product I'm probably most excited about comes from what I'm comfortable with and what I'm used to, and that was probably the Outrun driving player or racing player. I mean, obviously, I know pole position worked out really well, so Outrun should be a success as well, provided they use the arcade ROMs, which, from what people are saying, at least Outrun is. So that's a good thing. So anyways, MyArcade, I think Gamer Fridge accurately described it. They're the people that tried the most things at CES. It was fun watching this. They announced a lot of big things. It's just maybe the implementation, I don't know if implementation is the best word, or the way they put it out to the public and what they did maybe wasn't, the execution wasn't as good as it should be. Yeah, so here's a closer look at the MyArcade stuff. For the Sega stuff, I'll bring it back up. I've already shared my thoughts on Revenge of Shinobi, a console game, so that's a little bit concerning. Here we see the Golden Axe player. They are not in any way trying to recreate the classic arcade. They just stuck some generic Golden Axe art on the side of the cab, no marquee. Let me see if I can actually get into that picture, and of course not. Open image, a new tab. Let's see if that works. I'm trying to see if this is the arcade ROM or not. And that's what I'm concerned about here. That's the other one. Push 2-player start. I can't really tell. It's all jacked up. Anybody there? Did you play, like James or anybody there, play this game? Credits. Okay, I see credits. Credits tells me it's the arcade ROM. So MyArcade has a second product outside of the Outrun racing player I may be interested in getting. I absolutely love Golden Axe. If it's the arcade ROM, I might give it a shot. Who knows? Who knows? Glenn says it's console. Oh, that'd be really, really sad. I see credits on the Golden Axe. I'm really hoping that they're not them. Soul Red says that's the arcade version of Golden Axe. Update 17-3 Rams. I'm not watching Monday Night Football. I know, something wrong with me. Yeah, I don't get it either. Like, I mean, that giant joystick player for Sega, it's questionable, right? Shit. Hold on, I got to take this down. I deleted the wrong tab here. Twitter. I don't get it, but this is their model, right? This is what's worked for them for years. The company's still in business. They seem pretty successful. So what can you say? MyArcade is going to MyArcade, right? Again, I 100% just wish they take some advice. I think they could do a lot better, and without even spending a ton of money, making sure that you have the right screen, making sure that you have a more arcade accurate look. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say that for this last week. A more arcade accurate look. Look, I'm already shrinking. I got to get a new racing chair. But like, if they change the form factor on that arcade, made the marquee a little bit higher, went with a little bit more accurate arcade art, I think they'd be doing some good stuff there. Yeah. So anyways, that's really all I want to say about MyArcade. They put out a lot of stuff, but there's not a lot of stuff that stuck with me and said, I want to buy that. I'll give them props for all the big announcements. It's just, I don't think the execution was there for what we would really like. Now, I'm going to ask you guys in the comments, give me a score from 1 to 5, with 1 being poor and 5 being great, what you thought of MyArcade at CES. I know I've got a poll up. I want to leave that up the whole time. That's going to be the overarching poll. So if you guys haven't seen it, what company had the best CES for you? Currently, we're at 135 votes, but I do want to go back, put either a 1 for poor all the way up to a 5 for very good in the chat for what you thought of MyArcade at CES 2025. Tom liked MyArcade. Tom with the first 5 I've seen. I see a 4 from Dr. Torque. So yeah, Kurt the Darling, you know, there's a lot of MyArcade fans out there that like the product. I mean, here's the trade-off. They're not exactly the high arcade quality we get from New Wave Toys or quarter arcades, but you're paying a fraction of the price. You get to collect them, you get to play them, and from what I've experienced so far, my Miss Pac-Man volume's jacked up, but it plays really well. And I mean, pole position plays really well. So even though these are not luxury items or even like really good looking collectibles, it is a cheap way to play these on a desk shit form factor, I guess is the best way to say it. Paul, first -1 for, I don't know how to score that. First -1 for MyArcade. Anyways, guys, that's it for MyArcade. Moving on, I want to talk about the company that I think unintentionally did something during CES. MG5, although I'd rather have a Jigs dinner. I completely understand. A Jigs dinner is amazing, by the way, MG. Absolutely amazing. Like, you boil your vegetables with the salt beef, and all that salty, beefy goodness gets into the vegetables. Then you pour the turkey gravy over it. Chef's kiss. So, obviously, you know what company I'm going to talk about now. And the only reason that this is really even newsworthy or noteworthy is the fact that this is a company that usually are the ones that show up the biggest, go tits out at CES to show us their upcoming year lineup. And that is, of course, oh my God, share screen. I got to get better at this whole StreamYard things if I'm going to do it. Arcade1Up. So Arcade1Up, first day of CES, sent out an email and said, guess what, gamers? Fast and the Furious is back in stock. You can now go pick one up. Now, when I first saw this, obviously, major disappointment for CES, especially after the year that Arcade1Up had last year. A lot of us were hoping, even though we didn't have high expectations, that Arcade1Up were going to do something during CES. Not essentially be at the convention, but at least announce something new, something to give us some hope for the company that they were still going to do something. There were some rumors out there of maybe like a Mortal Kombat XL, something, do anything, even if it's rehashes, do something cool. So when this came out and it was just a restock of Fast and the Furious, it was a little bit of a bummer, to be clear. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think this was actually planned as a CES announcement. I think this is just timing. It's just a matter of timing when they could produce a couple more Fast and Furious cabs. They wanted to advertise it, and it just so happened to be during CES. I can't believe that the company would be that tone deaf that they would use this as a CES announcement, considering their history and what they did in the past. I'll just say that. A couple of really disappointing things about this, of course, was after this announcement came out, I tried to look at the positive, that there was a lot of people out there in the community that probably wanted to get their hands on this. They couldn't get their hands on this, especially here in Canada, where Fast and the Furious was never, ever released before. So I said, hey, maybe at least Canadians will be able to get it, and it's going to get out to a lot more people's homes. However, then I found out that, of course, Arcade1Up only got 380 more of these in. That's it. So I started noticing yesterday and the day before, people were complaining that Best Buy's stock had already sold out. So you only get 380 more cabs in. A big global restock definitely was going to happen. This was a small restock, but let's give the company their credit. They seem to be selling out almost 400 Fast and the Furious cabs in the manner of a couple days. And I don't think we realize the scale of what these companies produce and sell. Like, we always assume that 400 is a small number. That's actually a pretty significant number when it comes to home arcade, because if you want to believe like what we're told about iArcade, for example, the iArcade Gold Cab, some people have reported, and I don't know how true this is, they only sold 181 iArcade Gold cabinets. So if you think about that, even though this is a restock, it's kind of a wet fart, not really that exciting, Arcade1Up still did sell more than twice as many iArcade Golds in the span of 7 days. So that's something to look at. But the other reason this is actually so friggin' exciting is the fact that Arcade1Up have released this to a perfect storm, because we're also looking at this right now at the same time that Mystery Encoder and his team just put out that Fast and the Furious mod. So there's renewed interest, there's a community mod, really good timing. So as much as it's bad timing to announce what is realistically a non-announcement during CES, funny enough, the timing couldn't have been better. And I think that's what propelled the sales so fast. I know my buddy Stockjock picked one up because he got a great deal. Like, he told me about it. I won't repeat and stuff like that, but he used points to get it. And, this stuff comes up. Apparently, there's still a couple available at Amazon, maybe some at Walmart, but Best Buy's already sold out. Look, There you go. My mic is crooked. Danny, thank you. It's why I bought the Fast and Furious because the mod. Yeah, I think we'll talk about that in just a little bit, Adam. Thanks for reminding me. I ordered using a forwarding service to Nova Scotia. Jeremy, you got to tell me about that because I didn't think the forwarding services worked that close. I thought that they were only in Toronto and Alberta, but maybe I'll talk to you about that. Yes, speed ups. So, was it an announcement or a non announcement during an announcement period that can sort of be seen and is most likely, but maybe plausibly, an announcement? That's a good way to sum it up, my man. That's a very good way to sum it up. So it was kind of a non-announcement, but it came at the perfect time because of the mods that were out there in the community. This is a desirable commodity right now for people who never got a chance to get one before. So perfect timing for Arcade1Up. They fell ass backwards into basically almost selling out of these in the span of a couple days. So good for them. But at the same time, I'm hoping this isn't it. I mean, you look at last year, they gave us a pretty good excuse. They said, listen, we're in the process of trying to reestablish our assets and our marketing materials. They weren't happy with what they were doing. I was pretty, obviously very adamant that their marketing materials were terrible. The videos with Cyrus with his iPods in, like doing the really low budget advertisements and stuff like that was horrible. So I was in agreement they needed to do that. But then what followed that was a pretty terrible year. So I will say it is a little concerning that Arcade1Up didn't have anything to announce during CES this year other than the restock. I know our buddy PD7 Phil, he was trying to make it as positive as possible. He was like, look, guys, it's a fact. Arcade1Up did more this year during CES than last year. So, I mean, you can take it positively that way, but it's really concerning for those of us that are hoping something new is coming, new titles, new form factors, more XLs and stuff like that. I guess we'll see. We have no inclination what Arcade1Up's plans are moving forward as of CES like we usually do. So hopefully we don't have to wait too long, and hopefully it's not the huge disappointment that I think a lot of us expect it to be. All right, guys. So moving on, of course, then we got the sweetheart of the community, our buddy Glenn Planamonto, GRS Thunderstick T Sticks, kind of giving us an announcement that was also kind of a non-announcement. I know Glenn did a big video, but a lot of this information was already out there about Glenn's Build-A-Cade FU, the best name in the home arcade space, GRS Build-A-Cade. So just give me 1 second, guys. I just gotta get this up here. I already should have had it, but Glenn released a new video recently, and he showed off a lot of extra stuff about the GRS. Me personally, what I'm really excited about is I cried, I bitched, I moaned, and I got my way. And Glenn is not only doing the 19-inch monitor that he initially announced, but he's also doing an option for a 26-inch monitor. And for me, this goes from a very, very, very good home arcade product, Multicade product, to an absolute must-have. I personally was looking at getting the Unico Nova Blast just so I could play those arcade games on that 26-inch 4x3 screen. It kind of had a cool 90s look, but I'm not a candy cab guy, so it wasn't a perfect fit. So I had some, I don't know what the right term is. I had some precaution or some misgivings about possibly picking it up. I didn't go all in. But then when Glenn announced he was doing his Build-A-Cade with the 26-inch screen, I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. I don't want a candy cab. I want an upright arcade. Now I got one, and I get the 26-inch screen, plus I can rotate it, plus it's going to have all this extra stuff. Perfect fit. They went to the 19, and I'm going to be honest, that killed a lot of the interest in me. Like, I was like, at least I can do a Donkey Kong mod. Like, that was the way I was looking at it. So when he came back and put the 26-inch, I was like, we are open for business. I mean, what you can do with this is going to be absolutely unreal. I think the only thing that's stopping a lot of people is, in fact, that the shape is very unique for the BuildACade. It's a very specific build. Glenn is modifying that a little bit. Hold on here now. Let me get this video up Glenn did and share it on screen so I can give you a better idea of it. I'm kind of going all in on this, but I've said most of this stuff already. We've been talking about the BuildACade for weeks, but what's new is the 26-inch screen. Hold on. Loudest keyboard in the business, which is basically just about broke, so I'll have to get a new one, which I know P-dubs will be happy. A lot of you gotta understand that Glenn's not building a recreation arcade here. Glenn is building what works for him and his brand. A lot of it is tied into the Donkey Kong mod, like the big top, and then the foam comes over it. It's hard to change that because then you're gonna F up the Donkey Kong mod. I'll give Glenn a lot of credit on this video as well because there wasn't a 25-minute intro, some kind of random old school space video. But here's Glenn going over the looks of the new model with the big 26-inch screen there. So some of the upgrades that they've done here, one is in fact the marquee, which is pretty big, was going to be slated as pretty big, is going to be shortened. So we're going to be getting a thinner marquee, which in turn is probably going to help out the PixelCade and Bit LCD marquees a little bit as well. But you're going to get a clearer viewing angle, which, you know, is an awesome thing. Then, of course, the big 26-inch screen, which I'm super happy with. I can't complain. What have I been saying? Did I say something else? The marquee is what I'm talking about. Big difference is the marquee being changed here, guys. So, yeah, this is the new cab. This is one we're pretty excited with. I know I skipped over Arcade1Up, but I kind of thought it was a non-announcement, so I didn't really go on to give them a grade. But I'm going to ask you guys here now. I mean, it's fine. If you're an arcade recreation person, like a deluxe multicade like this might not be your cup of tea. But if you're interested in buying a multicade, this is essentially going to be the best one on the market. I'll say that now. So I'll ask you a question, guys. What do you think of this? Give it a grade from 1, which you think is poor, to 5, really good. What do you think of the update and the GRS Build-A-Cade FU edition, the 19-inch with the turning screen or the 26? It doesn't matter. Give it a grade. Yeah, I know, Glenn, but you're never going to make those people happy. I wouldn't even worry about it, my brother. Biggie D is coming in hot with a 5. Decadent Dave gives it a 3. GW gives it a 5. John McGovern. Bill Nooner's definitely buying. Papa Brad gives it a 5. Good to see you, Brad. 2 Fourth Horseman, 2 since it's not wood anymore. What do you mean? Is it not wood anymore? I'm so confused. Maybe I missed that announcement. I haven't watched this full video yet. 5 with the new marquee. Oh yeah, Dread Train. This is 100% available in Canada. The only thing we have to be concerned about. Oh, W, when did you come in? Hold on, let me get my headphones. I haven't been able to hear you. I was wondering what you were doing on screen, and I was like, was me and P-Dubs in Glenn's video somehow?
I'm just Mike. I'm just here.
What's happening, brother? Hold
I'm
on,
just,
I gotta change the speaker too. Was the show that bad that you decided to jump in?
yeah. I had to come in and say, Mike. Mike. At first, I thought I was watching a rerun. Like, didn't we just do this show on Friday?
There we go. What do you think of that?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. I had to hop on to change things up because wasn't tonight's episode a rerun?
No, P-Dubs, it wasn't a rerun. I'm doing my review of CES and grading the winners and losers.
Didn't we do that on Friday?
No, we didn't do that on Friday. We just talked about what we liked at CES. And then I couldn't 100% say what I wanted to say.
Like it's Mike gets so mad behind the scenes whenever I tell him his shows are all reruns. Like,
I don't know
I
what to
love
say,
you.
man. I'm trying to
I love you.
be more
Well,
patient
I
and kind
figured
tonight.
I could. I was actually just gonna sit here quietly and not say anything until but you acknowledged me. I was like, well, he's using my StreamYard account. I might as well get front row seats to the show, and I just sit here and I was just gonna drink my coffee and not say a word throughout the entire broadcast.
It's the Super Game Room Dude StreamYard account now.
Duo. I can't wait until our Wednesday show launches, guys. I'm so excited. Are you guys ready for more content? But we're gonna change it up, baby.
It's gonna be all VR.
It's gonna be great. Our new Wednesday show.
So, P-Dubs, what do you think of the most recent announcements with the BuildACade FU? I think you're still in on the 19-inch, aren't you? You love that rotating screen, right?
I love the rotating screen, but what's funny is on the 26-inch, technically, I think, excuse me, I drank my coffee too fast. I think on a 26-inch, on the vertical play field, on a top-down vertical game, I think it's around 19, right? Like
even with it horizontal, yeah.
Yeah, like without it moving.
Yeah.
So it would pretty much look the same as the 19, right?
100%. You just have sidebars, but you can
also sidebars or bezels.
You can also rotate it too.
Right. So, if I do back this, which I probably will, I'm probably going to go with just the 26, even though I think the 19 is super cool because I love the whole automatic rotating thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. The rotating thing is really, really cool. However, I mean, I want that 26-inch screen. I might end up getting 2 of these, to be honest, eventually, because I want the 26-inch screen. But the idea of doing the Donkey Kong mod is really, really interesting too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than buying an original Donkey Kong cab, I think this would be the easiest way to have one in your home.
Yeah, buy stuff on a 26-inch 4:3 monitor. Isn't it, if you play a vertical game in its proper aspect ratio, isn't it around 19-inch you get, size-wise?
A little bit taller, he says.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, might as well go for the 26 then, right? I mean, it's around the same. So play size-wise, play field-wise.
Here's the thing about this one, though. I'm not saying like there's always going to be room out there for different multicades and stuff like this, but with everything GRS BuildACade FU does, with the rotating screens, with the 26-inch screen, with the ability to change the control panel, doesn't really leave a lot of room for other multicades. Like we talked about this, like a lot of people were saying, you know, Arcade1Up's in trouble because Glenn's releasing this product. I don't know if it really clashes against that market because I think that arcade market is always going to be there for recreations. People want that. They're going to buy that. But what this does cut into is how much room does this leave for AtGames to release their Legends Ultimate 4K?
Right. Mike, we've literally said this for 3 months straight. I don't know how many times we need to say it. I know Glenn wants to compete with Arcade1Up, but if he wanted to compete with Arcade1Up, he would make a product that competes with Arcade1Up. His product does not compete with Arcade1Up. His product competes with Unico Nova Blast, AtGames Legends Ultimate, Rec Room Masters, Game Room Solutions, and a dozen other DIY cabinet builders. That's who his product competes with. So I love Glenn. I think Multicade fans like myself are going to love his Multicade and back his project, and tinkerers are going to love it, and tinkers are going to love playing around with it. But the general home arcade fan is still going to be leaning more towards what Arcade1Up and Media1Up do, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a very specific market that want those recreations, specific recreations. And like they'll explain that that's their want, and that's fine. Like it's the same. You can come into any chat and be like, "You're an idiot for buying an Arcade1Up. Don't you know about multicades?" It's the Raspberry Pi conversation again. You go into a collector's video, or you go into a guy's video where you bought an S Classic, and you're like, "You're stupid. You could have bought a Raspberry Pi," and like.
Well, and now Ambernick has become the new handheld of that conversation. Like anytime a company comes out with a curated handheld device, here they come out of the woodwork going, "But you could have just got an Ambernick, and the Ambernick, you know what I mean? The Ambernick does it all, right? You don't need that, you know." Like for instance, guys, if like let's just say another Game Boy came out, Game Boy Mini or whatever. You know what I mean? Like let's say yeah, the NES Mini, Super Nintendo Mini. What if they re-released like a Game Boy Nintendo did and it was preloaded with a bunch of Nintendo ROMs and they're like, "Hey, here's your Game Boy Mini." You know, and it's a handheld and they're just trying to it's a cash grab. They're selling their old stuff. You know damn well here comes the Ambernick crowd. But you could play all those NES games on your Ambernick. You don't need to buy that. You know what I mean? The question
Prince,
is do you want to play the games on that form factor? That's the question.
yeah. So Prince Malcolm brings up a really good point. That's what they did to poor Bash games. I'm not familiar with this. So is this like the Bash box? Like people attacked them and said, just get an Amberdick.
Uh I never
I'm
saw
not
the Bash
familiar with it
box.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I heard about the Bash box, but I never knew anything about it, like the specs or what it did or any of that stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not that familiar with Arcade or obviously the layout for this, but one thing I will say, and this is going to be a topic that we bring up when we talk about John's product and Iconic Arcade in a minute. I just want to go into this really quickly. Oh, there is one other thing I wanted to show really quickly before we move on. Do you know there was another home arcade company at CES that nobody talked about?
Oh yeah, Toy Shock was there.
Yeah.
And I find it so shocking that they were there still trying to get people to the whole reason they were there is the same reason they always go. They're trying to find a retailer or distributor to sell these machines, right?
Yeah.
And they've made no changes over the years. It's the same products. And it's like I don't think a distributor is going to buy this, you know what I mean? Like you got to come up with something new. Where's the new hotness? You know what I mean? So they must have some inventory somewhere. Like maybe of those bar tops that never made it to the US and they're trying to find
Yeah.
someone to say, "Okay, we'll buy 5,000 of them and we'll stick them on our website." I think that's what's happening there.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to them in years. I mean years. So, you got to close their YouTube studio window.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Same machines they've showed off for the last couple of years, Doug. Same stuff, nothing different.
Yeah, it's just so weird to see them. Like you would assume they're no longer in business, right? And it was just so surprising when Adam Kalb sent me that picture. I was like, "Oh my god, Toy Shock, really?" But yeah, they've got a bunch of stock because I know what happened was when there was some kind of interest in this, they had their stock, what they could build, locked up in Canada because they had sent everything to Best Buy and the Brick, and they didn't have any stock for the US. By the time they got the stock, the whole virtual pinball scene had moved so far past what they were doing that there was no desire for their stuff anymore. And it was really sad, but that's also when this whole industry really took a downturn after we got out of the pandemic and people stopped buying as many of these. The interest kind of went away a little bit.
I agree, my friend. I agree. I
All
got my
right.
coffee. I got my coffee in me now. I also got a Diet Pepsi in here. So
Are
what do
you
you want?
chasing the coffee with the Diet Pepsi? I saw someone bring that up earlier.
Yeah, dude. I'm trying to wake up. I woke up and I was like, crap. I wanted to do a stream tonight.
I know. I was waiting for you. I was like, is he doing something? Like I didn't know. Anyways, I wanted to show you this. Look at this handsome dude right here. I'm gonna bring this up. So
Yeah.
share screen, entire
Well, I don't.
screen.
Well, I don't mean to overshare, but I went to the. You want to take that off real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I gotta tell you something, like, because like, I don't think people realize Mike and I are. You have people who are, what you call people who you collaborate with on YouTube, like associates or colleagues, friend. You say friends and stuff, but Mike and I are truly friends, right, Mike? Like, I mean, over the years, Mike and we talk almost every day on the phone, and we're just really good friends. And Mike's been making me worry about all these naps I've been taking because I've been so tired. But Mike, and the only reason why I'm going to overshare some personal stuff tonight in front of a live crowd is sometimes you should take your friend's advice. Because I went to the doctor today and I told him about how, like, every day around 4 o'clock when I'm wrapping up my work day, I'm just so exhausted. And I literally fall asleep by 4:30 and I wake up by 6. It's like I take a 90-minute nap every day, and I haven't been doing this for years and years. It's only been like the last 6 months. It's like I am just so tired. So tired. And the doc's like, "Okay, we'll check it out." They went and tested my blood, Mike, and I'm anemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have this anemia going on right now. So I got to take, on top of being diabetic, now I'm anemic as well.
Jeez. Yeah.
But that's why I'm so tired, is because I got some deficiencies in a few vitamins, and now I'm going to have to start taking some vitamin supplements and stuff, right? But it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you, Mike. Always being like, dude, you nap too much. There's something wrong. Mike would always tell me, there's something wrong with you. You're taking too many naps. But that's what I'm telling you guys. You guys really need to. We're all in our 40s now. If stuff is changing, go have it looked at. Doesn't hurt to ask a question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can tell we're getting older because I was in that chat in the Arcades Anonymous Discord last night, and we started talking about colonoscopies, and I was like, "Yeah, we're fucking old, man."
Yeah. So now, luckily, that's not it's not like a scary thing.
No.
Like being anemic, it just means, hey, you take some supplements, you'll be fine, right? So, but still, it explains a lot, right? So, you know what I mean, guys? Get out there, go see the doctor, get checked out, make sure the machine's running good. Never hurts to get your blood pulled, have them test everything, make sure the whole machine is running the way it should, right? So,
well, I'm glad that you went to the doctor. I'm glad you got that taken care of. And now hopefully you can get back to doing Multicade Mondays instead of falling asleep.
and Mike, that's so true.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I wanted to retire from YouTube, guys, is because physically I'm so exhausted and tired all the time.
Yeah.
But now we kind of know why. So I was like, I just don't have the energy for this hobby anymore and doing this stuff. So does that make sense? Like, maybe this will keep me going once I get this handled. So
yeah, and it has gotten a little frustrating, like the way some of the community react. Like everything's a controversy. People are in trying to accuse you of stuff. They're looking up through like your old files, trying to find dirt on you. Like people are calling people's employers. Like, guys, get a fucking life. We're talking about toys.
Well, I don't know about that, Mike. I was just talking about my anemia. I don't know. I don't know about that madness. But
so, anyways, going back to this, let me share this again.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Thanks so much, Doug. I saw your comment here in the chat. I love this one right here. Yeah, multivitamins. Literally, that's what my doctor said. Like, we're not even gonna have to prescribe you anything. We're just gonna tell you what you have to take. Go ahead and close your DMs, Mike, as well. All right. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry, it's your show.
So anyways, Iconic Arcade Facebook page. It started as kind of a joke, but anyways, it's really taken a life of its own. Not so much with the announcement, but with the sales here in Canada. I mean, this cab right now, which started out at like $6.99 Canadian, is now down to $249 Canadian. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, it's super thin wood. It's really, really ugly, but it's got a Pi 5 and it's functional. It's only got a 21-inch screen, which I think is also kind of junky, but $249. You'd never be able to find a Multicade for that price anywhere. Think about that's like $175 US.
Yeah, and the fact that you were aware of this the whole time, Mike.
Yes, because of my conspiracies with John D and stuff. Yes. But anyways,
I'm just teasing you. I don't know if that's true or not, Mike. Is it?
No.
but Iconic Arcade, they come out with a Multicade. So here's the thing, too, guys. Stop sending Mike DMs right now. We're trying to do the stream here.
Yeah,
Mike, you might want to just close your Facebook.
No. Really quickly, I just wanted to bring this up. The one downside with a Multicade, the one benefit with the At Games Legends Ultimate was there was such a big community, and there were so many people doing these community builds, adding ROMs and stuff like that. When you don't have that structured community, and that's not out there yet, and I'm not 100% sure how Arcade works and all that stuff, but there's a reason this screen was up. If you go to this Facebook page, nonstop, is with comments from people who went and picked this up for $249 that are trying to figure out how to add games to it. So really, it's good that Glenn has all these Facebook pages and stuff out there now, and I hope that when his product comes out, there's a big community, because it's not easy for the normal person, especially when you're working with like a Pi or through other means, to kind of put your ROMs on these. And if you don't understand how Batacera works or Arcade, any of that stuff,
you're
it
talking
can
about
be challenging.
Glenn's Multicade?
Yeah, yeah. When you're dealing with a Multicade, but also,
Yeah.
also we're also talking about Iconic Arcade, because we're going to talk about Glenn in a second. Everybody's like, fucking awesome. It's got a Pi 5. I can add games to it. It's not that simple. Like without somebody out there, like most people can do it. I mean, adding games to a Pi is not that hard, but for the average person, it's not exactly like easy peasy, right?
Yeah, despite the fact that, the people who are not very talented at YouTube, who complain about the people on YouTube who make shitty news videos, which I totally get. Like sometimes a news video, is it warranted? No. Can it just be like a post or a social media post? Sure, but we're YouTubers, so we put stuff on YouTube, and shitty news videos are also a good way just to interject your opinion, like, hey, X company announced this and this is what I think about it, tell me what you think about it. You know what I mean? It's part of a community discussion.
Yeah.
But despite the 200 shitty news videos on my channel, there's like 400 tutorials, mods, how-tos, and that's why a lot of us do what we do in this community, to help other people in this community to do this stuff and figure this stuff out for themselves. So to wrap it up, come full circle, when it comes to like Glenn's product or any product that gets released, you're going to have people there who will show you how to do things if you don't know how to do it yourself.
Yeah. So that's the only point I wanted to make on that. There is that side where, make sure that you're ready to interact with other people. This is probably going to be hard for first time, arcade users or Pi users to do on your own. If you know how to do it, you don't really care what I'm talking about. But hopefully there's good communities out there that do these builds, which made the At Games Legends Ultimate so amazing, was the fact there were people out there doing like One Sauce, doing a Legends Unchained. And without that, like a product like that loses a lot of its luster. Like we don't really care about like the licensed games that come on these multicades so much as what we can do with it extra. The piracy, the nostalgia-ness.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, Iconic Arcade. So let's get ready for a 45-minute discussion on the side art. No, I'm just joking.
I don't know why you're complaining about the side art so much, Mike. You're causing all kinds of trouble.
How am I causing trouble?
I'm kidding, Mike. I'm totally kidding. Guys, Mike doesn't like the side art. He's entitled to his opinion.
I don't like the side art on one of them. That's it.
I will defend you, Mike, on having your opinion. I disagree with you, but it's your opinion.
So here we go. There was a lot of things going into this that I was a little bit concerned about. Biggie D brings up the thing about the John D joint. I really thought this was going to be like a big branding thing on the cabinet. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. It's just such a like awkward term. It turned out to be nothing. It's just a branding thing that's going to be not on the cab off site. So that was fine. I don't really care about that anymore. And I got to say, like, if you're a fan of Arcade1Up XL cabs, you're really going to like these, because it's basically a continuation of that line.
Yeah. What I find interesting is, if you guys caught the live stream where John D finally made his return on, was it B Kong's channel?
Yeah.
During CES. John D openly confessed, hey guys, I left Arcade1Up and I wanted to do my own machines, and he needed partners. And he said he went to everybody. So he admitted he went to At Games. He probably went to Unico. He probably went to some of the other people. He probably went to MyArcade, Evercade. He probably went to Tiny Arcade. He probably went to all the arcade companies and said, hey, I have access to licenses, distributors, manufacturers. Do you want to build something together, right? And he went to Iconic Arcade because they just made a Multicade, albeit a pretty shitty one, right?
Yeah.
And Iconic Arcade jumps on board and says, yeah, let's do this, man. So you go from a company that was making a really shitty made Raspberry Pi cabinet to this, a fully licensed with a better Pi in it. And obviously it's, they're using 1/2 inch wood versus one. I think the first iconic arcade was using 1/4 inch wood.
Quarter-inch
You
wood
know what I mean?
or cardboard.
Like,
I'm not 100% sure which one it
yeah,
was.
yeah. No light up marquees, probably shitty sound, shitty
No.
everything.
The sound is pretty good on it. There's no issue with the
Yeah.
sound. Yeah.
17-inch screens.
21-inch screens, but they were 16:9.
Yeah, 16:9 screens on an arcade of this size. So, the fact that John was able to help them figure out how to do a better machine, right? Like, you have
Yeah.
to admit this is better than their last machine, right, guys? I mean, come
It's
on.
a million times better.
I mean, this is a step forward in the right direction for iconic arcades. So, I mean, this is more their machine than John's, but it's considered John's machine, right? I mean, by this community, right? So,
Yeah, and here's something just really quickly I wanted to talk about, and it's with Glenn, and it's now with John's Arcade as well. So I got a comment on my video I made last night where someone said that they thought it was in really bad taste that I didn't like the artwork on the cabinet because the person who did the artwork is a community member. It's the guy who does Repo Arcade UK, and he was really excited about it. So they felt it was an attack on a community member, and I was like, no. This is nothing against him. I treated the artwork the same way I would treat the artwork on any
Well,
commercial product that any company puts out. Like, I did want to talk about that a little bit. Is there like a double standard for when there's a community product or a product that comes out from a commercial person and it has ties to the community that people automatically assume you have to give it a pass?
well, the problem is let's just say you sit down and you create something. You create a painting. You spend dozens and dozens and dozens of hours working on this painting. You put your heart, your soul, your effort into it, all you can give to it, and you put it out there for the world to see. And although you spent all that time creating this, it literally only takes someone less than 30 seconds to shit on it.
Tearing it down.
I mean, you have to learn to let that bounce off of you, because although what you create someone might not like, there will be other people who love
Yeah.
what you created, right? And although Michael B hates art and vision and creativity, and Michael B doesn't appreciate the efforts that people put into things. Mike, I'm just hazing you, by the way.
I know. So
Um,
really quickly,
that's the thing is, I think some people who are friends, they're like, oh my God, we spent so much time creating this, and within 10 seconds, people are shitting on it.
but
That would happen if this product was mainstream. You know what I mean? If this was a mainstream product, like let's say Home Arcades was as big as the Nintendo community.
yeah.
Do you think that these companies would care if they released something and 30,000 people said it looked like shit, but 1 million people said it looked cool? You know what I mean? Like, do you think they would give a shit? They wouldn't, right? We have a smaller community, so everything seems a little more intimate and personal.
So do you think that Console Kids is a piece of shit? I do.
Why? Why?
So, anyways, Paul asked this question here, and I'm going to give you a really simple answer on this, Paul. I'm curious why you care about the authenticity of this cab, but not Glenn's. They're two different products, man. A Multicade is just a Multicade. Like, we want it to look more like an arcade, but we're not expecting it to be 100% arcade accurate. The main focus there is on playing as many games as possible in as many different ways. You're agreeing to a compromise with that.
Yeah.
But for a product like this, which is an arcade recreation with licensed art and all that stuff, it plays by a different set of rules, in my opinion. I'm sorry if you think that's a double standard, but that's the truth. I mean, most people would say this.
No Multicade looks like any real arcade. No Multicade does. All Multicades are, let's just put it this way, they're arcade shaped. But that's about it. And maybe joysticks and buttons, and that's where the similarities really end. After that, it's all like, hey, we're doing this, and you can do this, you can do this. It's got speakers, it's got monitor, you can do this. I mean, that's about, guys, do you expect your Multicade that you play 50,000 games on to look like all 50,000 games? No. But if it's a dedicated machine, You want it to look
Exactly.
more as close to the original as possible if there was one, even though these were conversion kits and Mike is just panicking over nothing.
I know Paul's really passionate about this and he's excited. So he may be. I know. Probably people in John D's camp, like his really close people, are probably like really like angry about me. You know how like John used to get people to go after the people who said they didn't like Arcade1Up and liked iArcade. Maybe they're coming for me soon. So, anyways, I know that people are upset because they want to see this succeed, and I do too. I love this. I fucking love XL, Arcade1Ups. I bought all of them that were sensible, except for the Golden Tee Midway because it wasn't sold here and it's not sensible. I'm not saying I don't like this product. Just me personally, I thought the art could have been a little bit better, but even I'm coming around on it now. Like I said in my last video, like even if they stick with it, I mean, what they did with the World Warrior, the front, the waterfall deck,
Right.
like the fact, the games list, all that shit.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
Paul, I am on your side. I am throwing Mike under the bus here tonight, and you're riding me. Calm down, Paul. Keep in mind too, if I get Glentendo, which is Glenn's Multicade plus the Nintendo attachment to give it more of a Nintendo arcade shape, even if I put Popeye artwork on it, is it gonna look like a Popeye cabinet? No, because it's gonna have spinners and trackballs and 12 buttons and 2 joysticks. It's a Multicade. You know what I mean? It is not going to look like a Nintendo donkey, or I'm sorry, a Nintendo Popeye cabinet. Does that make sense, Paul? It's not going to happen. It'll look close to it, which is what multicades are. They kind of look close to it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, do you see the difference, right? Do you see the difference?
No, John, it was a joke. Grow up.
Look, I think personally, Mike, that the Street Fighter Alpha artwork is killer. I love the Street Fighter Alpha artwork.
Yeah, the Street Fighter Alpha looks beautiful.
And what's funny too is every time I looked at these two machines, like my eyes never even go to that World Warrior one. Because I'll be honest, guys, I've never been a fan of that world. Even when didn't Arcade1Up do a Street Fighter with that artwork on it, kind of?
They did the Capcom Legacy cabinet, and that one had the right marquee, had the right bezel, but then the deck, they didn't do the waterfall deck. So they're correcting that here. I mean, the waterfall deck is beautiful. Then on the side, they tried to make it arcade accurate with the Street Fighter 2 picture on the side, which I loved. But to their credit here, a lot of people did complain because not everybody has the same mindset I do where they want it to be arcade accurate. Some people are, they want something colorful. Like I think that's why we saw the Yoga Flame, and that's why we saw the Shinko Hadouken, like really artistic ones. Totally not for me, but that was a response to some of that stuff.
Yeah, but still, even that one, when Arcade1Up did it, it didn't appeal to me. Like that version of the Street, I like, Street Fighter 2, what is that, Championship Edition, you know what I mean? That's the one I like more artwork-wise, but this alpha artwork really appeals to me. So this other one, I don't really have a stake in. So I don't know why it's become this big debate. Guys, Mike is entitled to his opinion. You know what I mean? And I mean, harping on it for 20 minutes is a little excessive.
I'm not harping on it. I'm fine now. Like I gave John props. Like he looked at it and said, maybe it's different. More than likely,
pot, Mike.
More than likely, this is probably going to be the art at the end. From what James Hates Everything said, he said most people in his video yesterday said, no, we love the art. We want it to stay. I'll cancel my pre-order if they change it. So they may end up staying with it.
They should stay with it. They should stay with it because this is what's been announced. This is what people are expecting.
Yeah, it would be.
Some people have probably placed orders already, right?
Yeah.
So what John could do is, I did like what John said he would do is, when they get through a run, they would, make the same machine, but with a different skin or theme on it, right? So that he could pick a different game, right? As long as they have approval to do so. And that would be kind of cool, right? And, do you remember back when Arcade1Up kept releasing the same machine, but with different skins on it, like the Defender and the Mortal Kombat and stuff, and some people were getting mad about it. I actually think it's a good idea. I mean, shit, look at what At Games is doing with their pinball machine. You know, different
Yeah.
skins will make people open their wallet. It is what it is, guys.
Yeah, that's another thing that I give them credit on here. You have
Yeah.
choice here because if you don't like one skin, you can go get the other one. Like I'm not an alpha guy, so I'm not interested in that. Like I love what they did with the World Warrior on the front. The side panels not so much, but like the alpha cab is beautiful. Like if anybody wants to get a good looking cab, I mean, I think they knocked that
Oh,
one out of the park.
yeah. The Alpha's great considering, according to the history, that side art was just a poster that somebody made, and then Sean went in and he created a full side panel artwork based on that poster with some tweaks and stuff to make it fit. And I just think it looks great. That's probably, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm probably going to pick up one of these, and that's probably the one I'm going to pick up because, you got to, I'm like Pokemon, you got to collect them all and see which ones you end up keeping long term, right?
Yeah. But I think outside all that, I do agree that maybe my desires maybe went a little bit hard on this when this cab was announced. I mean, it kind of overshadowed all the cool things about the cab. The fact that we're getting an amazing game list on both cab. Alpha games coming to a large scale form factor for the first time. They're going to be online playable. Street Fighter Third Strike. It's got all the best
Mhm.
games from the Capcom Arcade1Ups we got before. It's an XL cab. They both look beautiful. I mean, they both have a great form factor. They're in the XL, 19-inch BOE monitor. Looks like we're going to get upgraded controls. If you like the Arcade1Up XL cabs, these are probably going to be the best versions of them.
Mhm. I agree. Yeah, but I'm not too worried about the emulation and the gameplay on here, considering they are doing a Raspberry Pi 5 for these. So the games that John wants to run on here and Iconic Arcade wants to run on here should run on here without any issues, right? We're not expecting there to be any problems. Versus sometimes you were a little worried with the first, second, and maybe the third
All good,
generation of
man.
art. Maybe the first, second, or third generation of arcade PCBs. You know what I mean? The later on ones, the ones that allowed people were soft modding, those seem to be more powerful PCBs. So it's like Arcade1Up did improve their single board computers over time, but you know, the
So,
first few were like they felt like they were TI calculators, right?
yeah. So, I mean, if anybody's ever watched my reviews on these products, like, here's the thing about these like, the online factor makes them special, but like, there's a million different way to play these games. Like, I don't want to just focus on the emulation, like, and the gameplay because you can do that on anything. The reason why we're buying this is the nostalgia, the entire package. So you do focus a lot on how the cab looks. You're not just going to focus on the gameplay because you can play
Mhm.
these, on your PC through emulation if you're just concerned about the gameplay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They went to rock chip boards. There you go. Thanks so much, Carl. Some like KFC, some like Popeyes. I love both. There you go. MG's not hard to please. Look, people get on YouTube and share their opinion. Does that mean they're right or wrong?
No.
No, no. They throw information out there to help you guys make an opinion, right? And Mike, if you don't like the art, that's fine. You know what I mean? You can stick with it and say, I'm not a fan of the art. There's nothing wrong with it.
I went nuts. No, I had a hemorrhage about it. Like, I don't know why. It just stuck to me. And really the thing is, I really like what he's done there. I like the gravel, I like the picture, I like the art down on the bottom. It was just the sideways Street Fighter kind of struck me as odd, especially how big it was.
Well, let me tell you something too about Mike that maybe you guys don't realize. So, for instance, Mike B does have a what you might call graphical artist mentality. And the reason why I say that is take a look at his YouTube thumbnails, guys. Mike doesn't hire an artist to do those. Mike does that himself. And a lot of people copy the style of Mike's thumbnails. Like now,
Which I copy off Mason Conrad because he's so fucking good.
right. And because his thumbnails are so good. And there are a lot of times, guys, behind the scenes where like Justin or me or Nostalgia or B Kong or Fox will throw a thumbnail at Mike and say, here's our thumbnail. What do you think? And Mike will come back and be like, no, you got to angle the letters here. You got to change that here. So
and,
Mike has
and
that. he's got that vision of what his vision of what graphic art should look like, right? So that's where I think his opinion is coming from. He looks at this and he's like, the letters should be horizontal, not vertical, right? Like, do you guys understand? Like, you guys got to understand where Mike is coming from, and I fully support him. You know, if he doesn't like it, he doesn't like it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I do want to go back on this, John, because like I think it was a really awesome option that you
Yeah.
gave that out. I do agree with P Dubs and a couple other people saying this now. People have already pre-ordered. People really like their artwork. Wouldn't mess with it too much.
Yeah.
People have already pre-ordered. I think that, you know what, as much as I don't like it, I mean, it's fine. I didn't like Shack Jam, but I got it home and I thought it was okay. So I wouldn't really worry about that. Just put it out like it is. People seem really happy with it. And then next time, if you want to get artistic with the art, maybe do a poll first.
Yeah. Mike's also mad that very soon we are going to annex Canada, but leave his island out of the question.
God.
Like, we want nothing to do with Newfoundland. Like, we're going to get Canada, Greenway, Newfoundland. We're like, you guys are kind of on your own, and Mike's bitter. Mike's bitter about it. So don't worry, Mike.
Yeah, like here's the thing, Paul. Like we're going back on this because I've heard console kits say this narrative too, that like Glenn gets a pass. We just talked about that because I talked about like people from the community shouldn't get a pass. But again, it's a completely different conversation. No one expects multicades to be arcade recreations. Nobody. It's more about the function over the form. But when you're dealing with an arcade recreation, a lot of times the form is just as important as the function.
Northern Dakota.
Northern Dakota. Yeah. 19K Fox is here.
There you go. All right. So moving on. Now, here's my question for you, Mike. This thing, one comparison that some people made about the iconic Arcade XXL is that it's just an Arcade1Up XL, right?
Is that a bad thing?
That's my question for you and for the live chat. Is that a bad thing? Or could they have done something a little bit different to kind of make it a little bit different than an Arcade1Up XL? Like, you know, the machine is, how tall is it?
67 inches, I do believe.
Right. Like, what if it was just a couple more inches wider? Like, just a couple inches wider.
Yeah,
Would that have been better?
I saw some feedback on that for the control panels. I think that's one area where that is definitely an area where there's an opportunity for improvement, as you like to say, because one of the problems with Arcade1Ups constantly has been the narrowness on the control panel. One person said in my last video, they were like, I don't want to play with somebody and, you know, we're in a fighting game and we're going at it. All of a sudden, I touch his hand, he touches my hand, we fall in love, we get married, adopt a kid. Like, no one wants that to happen. Give people space on the control panel.
Well, what about taller, Paul? What if it was a couple inches taller? Would that have been better? Like, if an Arcade1Up XL is like 65 to 67 inches, what if John's cabinet was like 69, 70 inches? Would that have been better? You know, a little bit taller. Things like that. Like, what could they have really done to appeal to the same audience, but not make it too different, but make it better to get people really, really hyped about it?
Well, you know I think one thing that I don't think was a slight at Arcade1Up, but I really liked was the girth. They made it like deeper. You know what I mean? So when they get to a cab, like say, for example, Mortal Kombat, and they're going to use arcade accurate artwork, they don't have to crop it like they had to do with the Arcade1Up cabs.
Okay. What about I hate risers. I really don't like risers. But then again, risers, as much as we hated them, risers were more stable than the non-riser Arcade1Ups. Isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. I don't know what people are doing with their arcades. People are like, man, this thing wobbles. I'm like, what are you doing with it? I've never had this real issue.
Well, I'm just saying, Paul, Paul, I'm not asking you. I'm asking Mike and everybody, like, what else could he have done to make it a little more unique and eliminate the we've seen this before mentality, right? Well, obviously, the games list, you are getting some games you haven't seen yet. Yeah, there's a bunch of games on here you've seen before, but you are getting games you haven't seen yet in this form factor.
Well, it's not even about the games. We're getting an arcade cab we've never had before. That's what everybody's missing here. People are like, oh, Street Fighter. We've had a million Street Fighters. We've never had a Street Fighter Alpha 2 cab. Never. That's a brand new title. No matter what way you want to try to, downplay this, that's a brand new title.
Yeah. Just do a 1-1 arcade repro. There you go. Stability. Without risers, these arcades are tippy. Should he have done this with a riser? I don't know. I mean, I think that would have really made you think of an Arcade1Up if it had a riser on it. I don't know. A little bit taller. Premium controls, which it sounds like he's working on. They're working on. What else could they have done, Mike, to make this a little more different? It's got a Raspberry Pi in it. So if you do just want to, you're not obligated to, but if you do just want to say, hey, I don't want to play these games, I want to play something else, you just put in your own micro SD card and away you go, right?
Yeah.
What about this? What kind of speakers are in this thing?
I don't know. I don't know about the speakers. I don't know if the speakers, like, people go overboard. Like, I think that the subwoofer speakers in the KI Pro was overkill. I would rather have got that arcade for a little less money with just some normal ass speakers. And I understand where Paul's coming from too. Like, there's a large contingent of the community that wants to trash all their Arcade1Ups and just have Arcade1Up XLs, which Arcade1Up aren't going to give. So to be able to buy a product from a competitor that fits in with that space and doesn't look awkward or out of place, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
We really need a footboard on this thing, plus a fatigue mat. So,
yeah, like some of the feedback from people, like, this is a good comment from Dustin here, an actual working coin door.
There you go. I like that idea. Working coin door. What if you could do a bigger monitor? Would a bigger monitor have been nice, or is 19-inch good enough?
Well, when I first saw, and you got to remember, this was just the renders. When I first saw the renders don't look the same as the real thing, like the prototype. So it looks like there's a lot more bezel than what there is. So I was looking at it and I was like, you can kind of put a 26 in that. But, looking at it, and if it is very similar, just a little bit wider than the XLs, I mean, 19 inches is fine for that. If you're going full size, like a full size unit, depending on the game, I think you definitely need a 26-inch screen.
Okay, so let's say, Mike, let's say this thing was 70 inches tall with a coin door where it was functional, that, you could at least, let's just say, hit the coin door button, or like the coin door return as a button to pretend you're inserting a coin. 70 inches tall, a coin door that you could press the button and mimic coining in. And let's say a bigger screen, let's say anywhere from a 20 to a 26-inch 4.3 monitor. And let's say the price was around the same. Would this have been a complete winner at that point? Like, way better than anything Arcade1Up has ever done?
26-inch screen, jumbo, like 1-for-1 arcade size. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So, but you never know. I mean, these are prototypes. Hopefully things will change, or not. We'll see. Some people, but here's the problem too, right? Is some people have put in orders, right? So if you change things now,
yeah, I don't
take it. But whoa, wait a minute. Didn't AtGames do this too? Didn't AtGames take like pre-orders and change things as they went on people?
Some things, yeah.
It's not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, but the impression I'm getting, and some of the flashback I'm getting from my opinion on the art, certainly seems like people like it the way it is. So
I'm trying to not talk about the art, because you talked about it for 20 minutes on Super Game Room Dudes and 20 minutes tonight. So I'm just trying to talk about other things.
Have I told you about the art yet? Anyways, like, I just want to wrap it up now. For, like, the way I feel about this is 100% for people that wanted a continuation of the Arcade1Up XL line to add more of these arcades to the home. It is awesome we have another option. And it's amazing that Iconic Arcade went from this company that was kind of a joke. I made a joke Facebook page about them, like, laughing at how shitty they were, has become a very serious player and maybe the king of this whole arcade recreation thing with one good product. And that's what you said. You said that about AtGames. You said that about Arcade1Up. All they need to come back is one good product. This is a good product. And here we are talking about Iconic Arcade.
Yeah, we said that for years, guys. Like all Arcade1Up has to do is release really, really good machines and let the product speak for itself, right? And they went from hitting home runs to triples to doubles to singles to striking out, then the occasional double. You know what I mean? And is that the company that will ever come back with a home run again, like coming out with something like Star Wars, right? Let's be honest, guys. The Arcade1Up Star Wars, in my opinion, still one of their best things they've ever done.
It's
I
on the
mean,
Mount Rushmore, yeah.
for the price you're paying for a home arcade machine to look like and kind of play like an original Star Wars machine, even though it's all emulation, and their yoke, I mean, honestly, isn't a bad yoke. You can put in Glenn's yoke if you want. Glenn's yoke is even better. It's the best. I mean, what a fantastic arcade machine. It's still my favorite. And even though I've shrunk my Arcade1Up collection over the years, that is one that I'm going to keep until the machine dies. You know what I mean? I really, really like that machine, you
Did
know?
I tell you I'm on the verge of securing a Neutron? I'm serious. I put a want ad out post on my local Facebook
Yeah.
classified. Someone wrote me the other day. So I might be adding Tron back to the lineup. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm happy to see this cab come out. I hope it's a huge success. And I hope that Iconic Arcade, Media One Up, keeps making these big cabinets and we get a huge lineup. And I think a lot of the people saying, oh man, this is nothing new, even though Alpha is new, there's a niche or a want in the community, an unserved sector that still isn't addressed right now. And hopefully that, either Arcade One Up or John listens to that community for retro games, because right now we've had a lot of 90s, a lot of even 2000s, but the 80s is such an unserved sector. So many great arcades from the 80s. I think people want to see more 80s games as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of great ones that never got made by other companies like Arcade1Up that would I think people would be interested in. Maybe just don't expect to sell 50,000 of them. Just be happy that you're going to sell 3 to 5,000 of them and hopefully you'll make some money along the way doing so. If it's not lucrative enough, like if they're like, okay, everything shows that, well, let's just say I always like picking this one because I don't think this one would sell. Crazy Climber.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you out there that like the game, but how many of you would buy an actual Crazy Climber machine? Do you think they would sell 3 to 5,000 of those, or would they just lose their ass on it? Like it kind of makes sense why some titles get skipped, even though they're nostalgic, right? But I think there's still a lot of games in the top 50 that never got made, and depending on which top 50 list you look at, that some of these companies could target, as well as getting crazy with like stuff like Hydro Thunder. You know what I mean? Afterburner. You know, stuff that what you think would be a little bit more complex to get made in a cost-effective way, right? So yeah.
Yeah, like one of the things that we were really excited about, if you go look at those prototype pictures that we all got from John and put out, or
Hmm.
whoever they came from, um, like a cab like 720, something unique like that. Like if we got something like that, that would be one of those special cabs like Star Wars and Tron, where you're not really buying it so much for the game as like the whole
Hmm.
experience, right?
Yeah. Like if they can get it done and say, okay, maybe we're not going to sell 50, 100,000 of these like we can a Pac-Man arcade. But if we know we could make 5,000 Daytonas that would sell and still make a profit, pay all the fees. Like it all comes down to like how much does it cost, right? Licensing and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? Like make it happen, right? And I think that's kind of what John is going to try to do. Keep in mind, this first machine he's partnering with Iconic Arcade on. Let's say the machine's a bust. What happens then? You know what I mean? Will more come out? Or will because I've seen some people ask, like, is this a one and done thing? The way I would look at it would be any product that any company releases. If they release a product and if it sells well, they try to repeat that. Companies like making money. So if this machine does well, these Street Fighter machines, I'm sure they would be like, let's do another one, John. What else you got up your sleeve? Who else can we get, right? But if it's a flop, if it doesn't sell well, would they have that same discussion? That's
Yeah.
that's that's the thought, right? So yeah, there you go. And no, I'm not talking about Cubert, guys. I'm talking about some other stuff. Yeah, like
That
Daytona.
Cubert Tetris mismatch. Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to say, guys. Like literally, if we watch, if this does well, you know they're going to try and do it again, right? That's what they're hoping. They're hoping it happens, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, Paul, you are moody.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kinda shocked.
Anyways, to put a pin on it, Dr. Z said at the beginning, you know who won at CES? We did, because we have new options. We have no, more reliance on Arcade1Up to make these recreation arcades. We finally have another company doing it, and it's fucking awesome. I'm so happy for that. Then on top of that, for people that like multicades, we might be getting the best one we've ever seen come to market, albeit not everybody likes the art and shape of it. Paul, there you go. Not everybody likes that. But the functionality of it is absolutely unheard of, with the 26-inch screen, with the ability to switch out your decks. I mean, this could be a Swiss Army knife for multicades that makes a lot of the other ones completely unnecessary. And then last but not least, the company that I think truly won CES, and you can't deny this, get ready, P-dubs, because not enough people have been talking about this, and I think this is the industry that we're all going to move into and start talking about in the near future. Realbotics. So this is a real story. These guys were at CES. This is Real Dolls. Remember those sex robots you used to be able to get? They have changed the name of the company now to Realbotics. So they've got video of these AI people, and they're not just for sex anymore. Like, they're companions. Their AI will actually have a conversation with you. Like, if you want to talk for like 3 to 4 hours about how you don't like the art on a certain cabinet, they have to listen to you. They won't cut you off.
Maybe we should start a GoFundMe so Mike can get a Realbotics robot to complain about
How
Street
much do you
Fighter
think they
artwork.
are? How much do you think they are?
I have no clue how much.
$179,000.
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's pretty crazy.
$179,000. There's video of it. This is Real Doll, the sex company, 100%. So let me just bring this up, and
I'm glad you really are taking the high road on your content lately, Mike. I'm really proud of you.
But they're not sex dolls anymore.
That's what they say, but obviously they are. You know, this thing's been floating around, these videos about these robots from CES. Apparently they were the talk of the show. Like, they really stole some press time, and they're like, oh, these will give you companions and friendships and intimacy,
Yeah.
so they're trying to tell you without telling you, like, oh, it, also, if you want to get a little freaky, here you go. Here it's a
See, can you imagine having that conversation? Like, you're like one of these dirtbag creeps, and you're there talking to the Realbotics guy, and he's like, "Oh, they can do all these amazing things," and the guy's like,
wait,
"Yeah,
which one's the robot? Go back to that shot. Which one's the robot? Is it the dude? What is he doing?
The blonde one is the robot. The dude is the creator. He's the real dude." But can you imagine that conversation? He's trying to tell you about all these AI advancements and how they can be your companion.
Oh, I get it. He's showing the AI tracking. I was wondering why he was going like this. I was like, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if we can do Mike, our Wednesday show, all Botrix.
All real Botrix.
All real Botrix all the time.
Anyways, the real winner of CES, Realbotics. Look at this, 179,000, and you can have a woman that is programmed to complain to you just like a real woman. Anyways, we do have a poll question up. Paul's determined to get me to read it, because obviously Paul really likes like the arcade recreations. I'm in his camp. I love the arcade recreations too, but I put a poll up earlier, and it said, what company had the best CES for you? And last place was Arcade1Up. But, they kind of get a pass because I don't think they intended this to be a CES announcement. If they did, it's completely tone deaf, but that would be on par for them. They came in last place at 12%. MyArcade came in third place at 18%. MyArcade actually beat Arcade1Up. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And then Second place was GRS T-Sticks with 23%. And the overall winner that most people in this chat are super excited for, the Iconic Arcade with a commanding 47%.
Okay.
Do you agree with the poll results?
Yeah.
What is going on?
No, I just this whole thing reminds me of a funny movie quote.
Are you getting the video? Is that why?
I might. I don't know if I should play it or not. You know how sensitive this community is. They can't handle jokes, especially a movie clip from a movie made 30 years ago.
I think that Real Doll is really interesting, but you know my big problem with her? I don't like her side art.
Oh, really? You don't like her side boob? You're so stupid.
No, her side art. Her side art. Thumper Squid says MyArcade was the only one at CES, so they win.
Here, maybe you'll see it. Mike, do you see it now? Do you know what that is? Take a look at the green room. Do you remember this?
Okay, play it. I don't know.
Unthinkable. Because that type doesn't go to the marshmallow room, goes to the fudge room.
P-Dubs, that was a real golden ticket idea right there. Anyways, CES is behind us now. Pre-orders are live on the Iconic Arcade. So if you guys are interested, I'll put a link in the description if this is on replay.
They didn't
afterwards.
hear it. They didn't hear it, Mike.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, hold on. Hang on. All right. Well, I was trying not to get Mike in too much trouble, but here we go.
I don't think there was anything there that was trouble. It's nothing I wouldn't say myself.
Here, stop sharing. All right, let's do present, share screen, entire screen, share audio. All right. So the theme song or the theme of about the Botrix robots is right here, Mike. You ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna go right here.
Because that pipe doesn't go to the marshmallow room, it goes to the fudge room. You terrible man.
I don't know. I think I showed this to you. There was a guy here on a local marketplace, and the guy on the local marketplace, he actually put up a post selling like sex dolls, and he was like, you know, brand new, never used them, and I was just like, what the hell, man?
Like
anyways, trying to finish this off so I can get out of here now. Iconic Arcade pre-sales open right now. No availability in Canada yet, but hopefully it will come soon. $6.99 introductory price. You can order them. Glenn, within the next couple of weeks, I think by the end of February, is hoping to have his pre-order or his Glenn funding up. So it's going to kind of be like a pre-order system. They got to get so many pre-orders. So get ready for that. And the MyArcade stuff, no idea when that's coming out. And Fast and Furious sold out at Best Buy, still available at Amazon with limited supply left. And I think Walmart has some units too. And we'll stay tuned to see what the next big announcement is from all these companies. And we still have other companies that there's been rumors about that hopefully do something eventually. Like we've got I don't think you work for Media 1-Up, Neon Bitchy. I don't think you do, but thank you very much for the super chat.
School about what?
There's people saying she works for Arcade1Up. I don't understand. Like, this community is so crazy at times. Thank you very much for the super chat.
No, I'm sure if Jay did, she'd disclaim it.
She wouldn't work for Arcade1Up. John likes her, and John wants to, reach out to her from a community aspect.
Yeah, Jay does do great work though. So
yeah,
like he should hire her to do some video editing, promo videos, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she'd be great. 100%.
Why not?
Gramps Arcade says 4 left on Amazon. Anyways, guys, it's an hour and 44 minutes in. Paul Minderman reminds me we talked about GRS for half of that, apparently. So it's time to close it up. Me personally, I think the sex robots won. That's my final opinion. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Chill and Chat with Michael B.
I regret coming on. You know, Mike, if we do one more live stream where you complain about the artwork for 20 minutes, we're going to have to just cancel every show.
I'm not going to talk about the artwork anymore. I've said my piece. I went a little nuts on it. I'm good. No more artwork. We're done.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Are you sure?
Yes, positive.
All right. I'll see you Friday.
All right. See you, buddy.
Where we're going to talk about the artwork for 20 minutes.